Hi, 8th graders. So I am on page 18, the last page of your packet of Unit 5 notes. I'm just going to go through a couple examples that we didn't get through yesterday, just to keep reviewing how to write the equation of a line, given some points from that line or given a table of values. So number 4, so the top of the page 18, the goal is to write an equation of a line using these points from the line. So these points have to be on this line that we're picking. So the end goal is to get something that looks like y equals mx plus b. And remember, you should have page 18 out, and you should be taking notes along with watching the video. So you can pause it if you needed to fill something in, or rewind to rewatch something in there. So our goal for these questions are to write the equation, so y equals mx plus b, with the slope and the y-intercept for these specific values from the table. So we start with the slope formula. Slope is equal to the second y minus the first y over the second x minus the first x. So job 1 is to pick 2 points that you want to use for x1, y1 and x2, y2. So typically, we talked about yesterday, pick the one that avoids negatives, simpler numbers. So typically, students pick the first row will be my first x and y. The second row will be my second x and y. So for this one, my slope is going to equal 11 minus 10 over x2 is 6 minus 5 for x1. So let's see, 11 minus 10 is 1, 6 minus 5 is 1, so my slope is 1 over 1, or 1. So if I was going to write the equation, y equals 1x, but I don't know the b value. I need the y-intercept to finish this equation. X and y are okay to stay, but I need b. So I need to figure out, how do I figure out b's value when I have 2 extra letters? And the answer is, in this table, I have a whole list of x, y pairs that I can use to temporarily plug in for x. So let's say I choose 8, 13 here. In this scenario, x is worth 8 and y is worth 13. So for temporarily, for a minute, I can take y and plug in 13. That will equal 1 times x, which is 8, and add b to that. Now, the reason I plugged in a value for x and y, and not just any value, a value from the table, was that now I have an equation I can solve for b. Before I can solve it, I got to clean this up. 1 times 8 is 8. So b plus 8 equals 13. So if I take away 8 on both sides, b is going to equal 5. So now if I go back, I can finish this equation. Y equals 1x plus 5. That would be the one unique equation that holds all 4 of these points here. I would start at 5 on the y-intercept and go up 1, right 1 from point to right. Right, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, and we started at 5. If you look at number 5, let's try this together one more time. So again, the end goal is to write the equation of a line. So something that has y equals mx plus b is the goal. M and b should be filled in. I'm going to start with the slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So again, I got to pick a pair of points. So I might say, here's my first set. And then, oh yeah, I want to avoid some negatives, so maybe I'll use this as my second set. So 5 minus negative 1 over x2, which is 1, minus a negative 2. So again, watch out for the minus minus. So 5 minus a negative 1 is worth 6. 1 minus a negative 2 would be worth 3. 6 divided by 3, the slope is 2 or 2 over 1. So right now in this equation stuff, I know that y equals 2x, but I don't know the y-intercept. So here's where I'm going to go back to this table of values and pick a point. Pick a point out of there that I can use to temporarily plug in numbers for x and y. And they're not just any 2 numbers, they're 2 numbers that this table says I can use. So I'm going to use negative 1, 1. You can pick any of them. If you want to try a different one, you can pause the video and try a different point. See if you get a b value, and then unpause the video and we can see if we have the same answer. We should. So I'm going to plug in for y. I'm going to plug in 1. Slope is 2 times, we're going to plug in negative 1 for x, and then I can find my b value. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So I'm going to need to get rid of this negative 2 by doing the opposite and adding 2 to both sides. So b is worth 3. So my equation is y equals 2x plus 3. You'll notice in the table, the y-intercept was actually in the table. If you look at, change my color here, 0, 3, if you graph that, it's actually on the y-axis. So whenever you have 0 for x, that's your y-intercept. So we didn't catch it on the first round, but that is your y-intercept. All right, so that's it for practice. You have one question left on this page that we did not do yet, and that is question 6. So I'm going to ask you to, once the video ends, that you complete question 6 right inside your notes, and then you're ready to go to the next slide.